Hey guys, Tim here from My Matter. I have my very good friend here, Damo. Now, today we're going to sit down and talk about his personal mental health journey. I think it's really important for people to open up and share. I think it not only empowers the person that is sharing their story, but it also can empower the community because we all have our journeys. I personally, myself, believe that everybody struggles from mental health problems at some point in their life. And I think this is a great way to raise awareness by actually sitting down and having a conversation and trying to promote sitting down and having a conversation with people when you're struggling, you know. So I'm gonna introduce Damo. I'm gonna ask him some questions, and he's basically just gonna take the reins, and he's just gonna tell you his story, and it may get pretty personal and emotional, but that's kind of the point. We want to showcase that. I think that's the right way to make a positive movement in this mental health mindset game. All right, Damo, say hello. Hi, I'm Damo.
Hi guys, I'm Damo. I'm 34. Been one of Tim's mates for
Very long time.
A long time, and I'm happy to share what I've been through with everyone.
So Damo, why? Well, I mean, I've had some people agree and reach out to wanting to do this as well, but what was it that drove you to want to do this? What made you want to come here and share your story?
Well, when you first proposed the idea of I Matter, I thought about it and it just stuck out to me, different from like all the other mental health sort of programs that are out there. Not saying they're bad or anything, but the way you've explained it to me, I love the idea of it.
How did I explain it to you? Because I can't even remember how I explained it to you.
Just a general gist of
For yourself, yeah.
Like sharing my story can impact someone else on the other end of that's
Absolutely.
watching the other end of the video.
Yeah.
And one thing for me that always sort of took, I guess, the reins of when I was in depression was that I was always alone. So when you propose that other people will see it and go, this bloke's actually being through or going through what I'm going through, that's something that I always sort of wanted to find, but I couldn't find anyone going through it, or because I was so depressed, I blocked everyone out that was trying to help me.
It's exactly the reason I want to do this too.
Yeah.
When I was in the same position, I felt exactly the same. You just don't feel like you can reach out and there's people there to listen, and you don't feel like your story matters or that it's valid. And I think this is why we're doing this.
Yeah.
Of
course.
So let's get into it. I want to start with a topic that I'm very passionate about. It's school bullying. Okay. Now, I know that when you were attending Parade College, I want to know what it was like for you going to this school, because I know you had a very difficult journey through that school, which actually ended up in you leaving and pursuing an apprenticeship in baking. So I really would like you to, if you feel comfortable, talk to us about what you sort of experienced and how that shaped you as a person.
Well, bullying for me actually started, I'll tell you a little story. So in life, people sometimes ask you, what's your earliest memory? For most people, it's probably a good memory. For me, my earliest was when I did half a year of crash, because I still wasn't at the right level to go to kinder. So I remember one day I rocked up to crash in a pink salmon penguin polo. I thought I was looking pretty good.
As you're doing a pink salmon.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
It's a good colour.
No, it is. I like pink.
But then I got bullied by 2 albino twins, and that stuck in my mind, and it wasn't a very fond memory. So that was
So how old were you when this happened?
about 4.
4. And these albino twins, how old were they?
Same
They were the same age.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, it starts young, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that sort of, well, that's stayed in my mind for 30 years.
Yeah, well, 34 now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did that progress into school?
So primary school started. I've always been a bigger guy. Like always carried a bit more weight than everyone else, and
height.
Yeah, and height.
Yeah.
So primary school, I was sort of I had a short fuse at primary school, but I also had mum at home who was very against violence. So I was torn between acting out at school and using my physical self to deter the bullies from bullying me.
I'll just interject, I just want to ask, when you say your mum was against violence, like, which is great, you know, violence, never condone violence, but what makes me curious about that is sometimes our parents or people in our lives, they have these like personal agendas of their own where they're very passionate about something, which can be really good, but sometimes it can sort of have a ripple effect on the people that are around us, right? That sort of teaching that she gave you in your early days and growing up, do you think that had like an impact in the way that you viewed other people?
I don't know, I never really thought about it.
Sorry, I just analyse.
I certainly took that lesson. I still use it today in various ways, but I'll talk about that later. But bullying, from when I talk to people about it, copped it for 13 years, almost every day, primary.
What kind of things did you
high
cop?
school, verbal and physical. Usually, the physical was usually a gang sort of scenario.
When did the physical stuff start? Like how old were you?
Probably about grade 3.
Grade 3. So you would have been what, 9 or 10?
9.
So how's that, you know? You're going to primary school and at the age of 9 or 10 years old, you have young kids actually asserting themselves physically over other kids. Like, for me, that like is kind of mind-blowing in a sense. Like, how are these people this young? Is that the kind of culture that we're raising people, like children in this society, that this is the kind of thing that we do? You know, it boggles my mind.
But the more it went on, the more I got used to it just happening.
So you became complacent with it.
Yeah. Teachers, especially in primary school, knew me as a sort of a placid student. I've seen a few students since like when I was in high school and stuff, and they always said that I was good-hearted sort of student. And I guess that sort of stemmed from, again, mum being against violence. So when the bullying happened, I tried to stick up for myself as much as I could, but deter myself from being violent.
That must have been really hard.
It was, because like I always thought, like, I've got this build, why don't I just smash it?
You're being
like
actively told, like in your family environment, not to commit violence, and then all these other people are committing violence to you, and you're sort of going, you know,
what do I do?
Yeah.
And that followed through to high school. Like, high school was very, very different from primary school. My brother had a good education at grade, so, well, yeah, why not send your other son to a good...
Was Simon still at school when you were there?
He finished a year before I
Okay.
started.
So there would have been no follow through of.
No.
Yeah.
So a few teachers knew Simon and knew me as his brother, but that was as far as it went. High school, yeah. I would have preferred to go to I don't know, probably state school where there were actually girls rather than
I agree.
all boys school.
Yeah.
But you play the cards you've been dealt.
Kind of creates I personally felt like going to an all boys school as well. It kind of creates this unhealthy culture amongst boys. Especially there's one thing I remember, female teachers, right? It creates this almost perversion within boys because you're so depraved of female interaction and you're not actually being taught how to interact with women, and become friends with them. And you go into this mode of you don't know how to talk to women, and then you start sexualizing any woman that you kind of see in your life. And it's really bad. So yeah, me personally, very against boy, girl on their own schools,
Yeah. So yeah, high school, not a fan of it. In most, I don't know whether it's the same with co-ed schools, but high school, male only, they sort of, ethnic sort of groups stick together. So you've got your yobbos, your wogs, your Asians, and such. So I actually got along with all ethnic groups more than the yobbos.
Yeah.
And the yobbos, or Aussies, whatever, hated me because, I don't know, just because I was friends with other people, really. That's the way I see it. Might have been other factors or whatnot, but guys that went from primary school that I was mates with, were all in the sort of Yobbo Aussie group in high school. And I sort of stayed friends with a couple of them until they started becoming friends with all the popular sort of guys, and I was sort of left out, and so I just made friends with other people that I had sort of like-mindedness with. So drawing came into effect.
Mm-hmm.
I did a lot of art classes. Became friends with a good, really nice Filipino kid. Who was an amazing drawer, and he was me and him were pretty similar. He was this really short guy who was really smart and really good drawer, but we were both very placid. Just if something happens, we'll.
So did this boy, did he get picked on as well?
No, he was steer cleared of all that sort of stuff. But later in high school, I started hanging out with a couple of guys that went to primary school with me. And then that's when sort of, I'm not sure why, I was sort of the scapegoat for them to pick on every lunchtime and every recess. So got to a point for me where, because I did so much artwork, I'd just spend recess and lunch. If my art teacher was in his classroom, I'd just spend all of lunch in that.
Do you remember, does it still stay with you, some of the things that these kids actually did to you?
Yeah, I remember so I left high school in year 11. I remember my last day of high school, 4th of April 2003.
4th of April, so you left maybe first term or something,
So we're out at lunch, so we always used to just have lunch out near the bus bays at the front of the school near the roundabout. This one day, one of my mates, he was a good guy when he was by himself, but
that peer pressure.
yeah, the peer pressure of being cool and hanging out and doing what your mates do. Never really thinking about the person that's on the receiving end. He picked up an apple and from about 10-15 meters away he piffed it at my head. It missed me, but from behind, the guy that was bigger than me at the time, same age, hit me from the back.
Or with what?
No, just
With his fist?
Yeah.
Yep.
He was at that stage. He was like a lot more muscly than I was. So, and he was all about like working out and getting fit and
So that was
knowing how to fight. And I never gave a rat's ass about fighting. Like, wasn't in me to fight people. So that happened. So
when he hit you though, what happened? Did you pass out? Like, was it a kidney?
oh no,
Like,
it was a kidney punch.
Oh.
That was his thing. Always do me kidney punches.
So was that like the breaking point? Like, this is it. I'm not coming. No. Okay.
So by that stage, him and the other guy punching me in the kidneys. So there's two there already. And then another two came from the other side and started laying into me. I tried to run off up towards the office because I was like, nah, had enough of this. As I'm going up there, one of the other guys, so there were 5 at this stage, one of the other guys tripped me up. So I fell face first onto the concrete, rolled over. He's jumped on top of me, got me by the scruff of the shirt and the tie, and he's ricocheted my head between his knee and the concrete. And so I got up, my head was bleeding, and I was yelling at him. I still remember all the guys' names.
We don't need to.
No, I'm not going to say him.
Yeah.
I told him, he started running off. I said, mate, come back here. I was a bit more violent because I'd had enough. Come back here, finish the fight. And all the other guys didn't step in because I don't know, maybe they thought that was too far. But they were also yelling at him to get back and finish the fight.
So they weren't helping.
No.
Yeah.
Was
there teachers around?
No, because we're outside sort of where they patrol during lunch. So he didn't come back and I was like, no, I'm done with this school. So I went to my coordinator and told him I'm done, never coming back to the school again.
How did that go for you when you went home and told your parents? How did your parents react?
Mum wanted to ring the school and I reckon abuse them.
Yeah, go on mama bear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I told them not to because it's not going to change anything because I didn't think it would at that time.
Were they supportive of the fact that you weren't going to go back, or were they?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah.
But they were also disappointing me for not letting them know how I was emotionally and how long this had gone on for.
So they knew nothing about
nothing.
You kept this to yourself.
Yeah.
That would have been a pretty heavy burden to carry for a teenager.
Yeah.
There's one other thing that I need to interject to this conversation about the school bullying and stuff. Now, you identify as bisexual.
Yeah.
Correct? Yes.
Correct.
Now, when did you know that you were bisexual? Like, when did you start to feel that you were not just attracted to women, you were also attracted to men? Like, I want to know, like, how old were you when you knew this? Because I want to know if this impacted your schooling as well.
It never really impacted my schooling. a lot of people viewing this will probably disagree with this, but that's the way I was brought into it.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't born bisexual, I wasn't born gay, I was probably born straight, but I've chosen to be bisexual.
Okay. Explain that.
So, all through high school, I was never really good at talking to girls. Like, scared of talking to them. I'd look at them and go, she's pretty good looking.
Mm-hmm.
Got nothing to say to her.
Mm-hmm.
So what do I do? But guys I could just talk to willy-nilly, just, I don't know, what's going on, and just go from there. But girls, there was this thing, like a barrier between me and them, and I was like, no, got nothing for them. So
it's almost like the attraction for the men was born from the fact that you could actually have a deep conversation with them, and it was easier for you to actually form that bond.
Yeah. So first experience of being with a guy was actually one of the main bullies at high school, who was a primary school friend, and he just lived down the road from me.
I think I remember, yeah.
So I won't tell you the story because
I know the story. I know the story. And now you go into as much detail as you want because it's a very powerful moment for you.
Yeah.
You know, in your life.
So
It's one of those look back and laugh moments now.
Yeah. So he knew I wasn't good with girls. He was good with girls, but he was offering to help me out. And I
Help you out with girls? Or like...
So I thought. So
Ah,
we were at
okay.
his house, we were just mucking around, playing games or whatever, and then he's giving me a porno, and he goes, just have a look through this and stuff, and I'll help you out. I was like, what do you mean? He goes, give you a blowjob. Oh, why not? You're at that age where things
So how old were you?
15.
Both of you? 15? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
And then from there, I sort of, so with that guy being a bully at, just to interject, with that guy being a bully at high school, away from people, he was a really nice guy.
Yeah.
But around other people where he got influenced and peer pressured and all that sort of stuff, he was not a nice guy.
He had a lot of self-confidence issues himself, which is obviously why that influence was so heavy on him.
And it got to a point where we hang out by ourselves and to explore a bit more. And
How long did this go on for?
up until I left high school.
It's a couple of years.
Yeah.
We're talking now.
And so
So would you classify as in you're in a relationship with him?
no,
No.
because if I ever talk to anyone about it and bring him up in it,
So he gave you these like threats almost, like that if you were to come clean about it.
he never threatened me in a way, but
he wanted you to keep
knew-
it a secret.
Yeah. And
So I just got to backtrack just slightly.
Yep.
When you had your first experience with that, so you were saying that you probably were born straight is how you see it, right? And then this offer has come up and you've gone, okay, I'm going to give it a go, you know? After that moment, like when you went home afterwards, how did that make you feel? Like that's like a real life-changing experience there. Like that's throwing everything that you thought you were into becoming something completely different. Not necessarily a bad thing, becoming different, but it's like what you saw was normal is now not normal anymore. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
I know what you're trying to say, but I never saw it like that. I was just like, oh, here's another avenue I can walk down, and I took it.
So maybe you were born bisexual then, because it wasn't something you didn't think was normal.
Have a chat to a lot of gay men, and you'll realise that there's no bisexuality. You're just bi-curious.
Like curious, okay, yeah. You think there is a difference between being bi-curious and bisexual?
Yeah, massive difference.
Yeah, can you? I don't know much about this.
So, from what I've I sort of think is by curious. You're not sure. You've never done it before, so you want to explore that. And if you do explore it and you like it, then you can call yourself bisexual.
So
why not?
So do you think that removing these sort of stereotypes and brands of sexuality in this case would go a very long way in helping people's first self-worth within themselves, their mental capacity of how they see themselves? Because I just envision that there are a lot of cases where people want to explore different things, but it's almost like society or their parents or other people around, influences are sort of pushing them in a different direction, and I think that, to me, I see that as someone would...
You're always going to be influenced by something. You're always going to have...
Absolutely.
There's always going to be a label that whatever you do, there's always going to be a label for it.
Yeah.
But it's what you want to... If you want to put a label to it, it's your choice.
I just feel like if somebody's saying to you, like, if you're coming out as bisexual and you want to, or bi-curious and you want to explore these kind of things, right? There are so many external forces around still in the world that would look at you and say you shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
That's the simple crux of sort of what I'm trying to say, and that, to me, anytime somebody comes out and tells you that a choice you're making or something that you're trying to explore about yourself is wrong, can start, it's like this slow dripping effect to turn you into this mental spiral where, some people don't come back from. And I feel personally like yourself and other bisexual people, gay people, whatever is still considered not normal in society. These people, it would go such a long way if we were able to remove these societal stereotypes that they put on us. Like
it's funny. Like I'm not sure when stereotypes even came into this world. Probably when media came about, like newspapers and all that. They probably started stereotypes and all that. Like like.
No, I do agree with you. I think
I often think back to biblical times.
I was just about to go there, but you beat me to it.
There would have been gay people back then.
Yeah. And let's just preface this. There's nothing wrong with religion. Nothing wrong with religion or people who want to follow religion. It's the people that go into these kind of constructs and misuse the principle of it for benefit of power or control over people. That's more what we're saying. There's nothing wrong inherently with the concept of religion. I want to specify that without trying to offend anyone, because I don't want to offend anyone. I accept religion, Damo accepts religion. Sorry, go on.
No, you're right.
No, I just think that's important to say. It's not about the actual concept of the structure in place, it's the way that the people, the corruption that goes into it, that uses a holistic approach, like a really kind, nurturing nature of a principle, and manipulating it into something of benefit for someone else, kind of thing. It's more what I'm saying. But yes, so that's where we're talking about the constructs of where it came from, like this oppression sort of thing, and then that whole thing of, the marriage, you get married, you have kids, all this kind of stuff, which creates its own problems in itself. A lot of people grow up in society thinking that they have to get married, that they have to have kids, that they have to be straight, that they have to have a high paying job, be successful, all of these things. And I got married, me, I got married, I had kids young, and now knows that wasn't the path for me, but I was sort of indoctrinated into a path that I believed that was the path, and translating that into the sexuality side of it as well. This can really mentally spin people out. Like, you're this person, you know who you are, you feel you know who you are, but when everybody else is telling you that you're not, or you shouldn't be.
Like, so
you go into it. Open.
So a couple of months ago, before COVID happened, There was this guy over at our place, and my brother knew him from the pub. Ran into him a couple of times. He was sort of like pretty much a friend of my brother. He's pansexual, which I'm not really sure what the whole crux of it is.
I was going to ask you what pansexual is, because I don't know.
Like,
If we had our phones handy, we could Google it. But
I'm like, there's so many subgenres of sexuality these days that, like, no offense to anyone that's in it, but I've just got no idea about.
Well, I'm the same. I mean, I know
what it is. So, he was over, and I'd just gotten up from a sleep and went out the back and joined them for a couple of drinks and stuff. We got chatting and started talking about sexuality with him. I go, so do you like guys or girls? And he goes, I'm pansexual. So I was like, so what's that? Like, you like both, or like? And he explained it, but by that stage I'd actually had a few too many drinks, so I haven't actually remembered it.
So it's like is it a gender fluid kind of notion?
That's what I probably gather from it, but
I don't know. Like, if there's anybody out there who knows what pansexual is or is a pansexual, like, let us know, because this is all about acceptance and for growing people's minds. You know, like, if more people were aware of, for example, what a pansexual is, there might be a wider acceptance of it. So, you know, let's get it out there and let's drive it.
Yeah, and if I've said something wrong and you want to correct me on it, go for it, because I don't want to get something like that wrong or offend anyone.
Yeah.
No,
that's good.
So yeah, and then I told him that I was bisexual, and he just shut me down and said, "No, you're bi-curious. You'd never be able to handle a bloke or be with a guy," and that's where I, within myself, sort of shut down a bit. And I was like, I'm not going to talk to you about this anymore, because just because like a lot of people, when they meet me, think that I'm straight. That's fine. That's what society's sort of built me into. But my own decisions are, just because I'm bisexual, I don't need to portray myself a certain way.
You know, I actually have to interject there and say that I'm actually guilty of being one of those people who have thought you were straight, because with it, like, inadvertently thinking that, it's just that when we are together and hanging out, you know, I've experienced many times with you talking about women, right? Talking about the things that you've experienced with women or what you're doing with women, and whenever you're doing your dating and whatnot, it's always women. You know, so for me,
there's a reason to that.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to ask.
So the reason is because a lot of my guy friends don't want to hear about the stories I have with guys.
Is that a problem for you? Do you feel like you wish that you could?
Yeah, of course, because there's a lot of stories I've had with guys that, and I've accepted that my mates don't want to hear about it, but that's also repressing who I am.
So why don't you talk to me about that? Because you know that I don't, you know, I don't discriminate like that. Like, for me, whatever makes you happy, man. Like, what is it? Is it like a cultural thing that you feel like because you can't speak to anyone else, you just sort of blanket statement it and don't speak to anyone? Or
I speak to girls about it because girls are like the girlfriends I have do like guys and girls, so they're open to me talking to them about guys that I've been with. Whereas like you and the other guys that we're close with, like, my stories aren't just like, yeah, I got with a guy or got with a girl.
No, I know.
I go into detail about.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
What I've done. So they don't want to hear when.
So let me ask you this, right?
Yeah.
And this is what I think.
Yeah.
Okay. When we're talking about what you're saying here, how you don't feel comfortable to talk to your male friends about this, I personally believe. Okay, wait. You interject before I go on. Tell me.
It's not that I don't feel comfortable. I feel comfortable talking about anything.
Okay. Yeah. So we are on the same page.
Yeah.
I still believe that there is a massive problem with what's the word? Homophobia. I think it is still huge. Like I think we have this whole culture and notion now where we accept gay people and all this kind of stuff, but I personally don't really believe that so much. I want to believe it, but I still think there are so many men out there who, you know, I mean, they're in a way they can't even talk about, you know, things with women like periods and stuff like that, you know, but then to go and talk about homosexual sex, like they can go, oh, you know, I'm not homophobic, I accept, you know, gays and that, but just don't, you know, I don't want to, you know, talk about it.
Yeah.
But I'm more than happy to turn around and talk to you about doing things with women.
Yeah.
You know, it's like there's still this barrier here.
Yeah.
There's this bridge that needs to be connected.
Yeah.
I believe. Yeah? What do you think about that?
I agree with that. Well, you pretty much just hit the nail on the head for me. Like, I'd love to talk to you boys about, like,
I know some of our other friends wouldn't be as easy to talk to.
oh no, like,
Yeah.
like so I do night fill at Woolies,
Yeah.
and a couple of night fill teams I've worked in are predominantly male, and there's a few guys out there that are quite homophobic, so I choose who I tell that I'm bi, because like I'll hear their jokes and all that sort of stuff, and I'll dismiss it, but I'm not gonna go out and go, look, I'm bi. Can you shut up? Because that'll form
So
a rift.
what kind of things are they saying?
Oh, standard sort of stuff, like that.
Would you say it's a genuinely founded homophobia?
Oh yeah, I'm thinking of two of the guys right now. Yeah, they're good guys.
Is there a genuinely founded homophobia? Now that I say that, I don't actually really agree with what I just said.
Yeah.
So, some of the things that these people are saying, you know, like, is it just off-whim comments, or is it fairly deep in, like, for me, I just want to say one thing. I personally realised at the start of this video, I made a really big mistake by accidentally calling an old phrase to a school that Damo attended to, which was Poofter's Paradise. And that was actually, that was really bad, and I know that now. But it's like almost, even when I try to think deeply about all this kind of stuff, I still fall into those old habits and routines of when I was younger, and how we just said these things and didn't think that there was anything wrong with it.
Yeah.
You know? And we just said it all the time. You know? And we never thought anything was wrong with it and it was okay. You know? I have this one friend that I'd like to interject. I'm not going to name anyone.
Yeah.
This one friend who says that they don't have any problem with homosexuality, right? But they don't believe gays should get married, you know, right? And I go, hang on a second, let's dial it back here. Why? Oh, because God said so. I go, are you even religious? Like, well, you know, well, my parents were. Okay, all right, fine. I'm not going to go into that whole debate, but how can you sit there within yourself and say, I'm not homophobic, but you shouldn't be allowed to get married, you know? I mean, isn't that just like...
Contradiction.
Yeah, massively. Like, if you were truly not homophobic, right, you are going in a gender-blind society, basically, where you are going to go, women can marry women, women can marry men, men can marry men, men can marry women. Anyone can marry anyone, it's all the same. You know, that's where we need to get to. So when we sit around and say we're not homophobic, and there's so many people who say they're not homophobic, but realistically, they kind of are, because they don't actually support everything.
Yeah.
You know? So I just went off on a tangent. But I'm passionate about it, you know? I'm passionate about that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not gay.
It's good.
And I'm never going to know what it's like to be gay. But
Well,
I do know that living in a society where homosexuality and bisexuality is not considered the norm, I can imagine with my own mental health struggles that I've been through, I can imagine that being that kind of lifestyle in this society, the mental trauma that it would cause people, it would be very difficult to come to terms with and accept, you know?
I think over the years for me, I've sort of just put up barriers and gotten used to hiding that side of myself from other people. So I told my parents at not a young age, but when I was younger that I was bi, and I didn't know how to. It was actually pretty funny how I said it because my sister at the time told my
She's not your sister anymore.
No, she's still my sister.
Yeah.
She came out to my folks. They were sitting at the dinner table, and I was like, "Well, she's done it."
Pile on. Stacks on, guys.
Yeah. So I went to mum and dad. And I was full of laughter, and I was like, "I'm bi as well."
And they're like, wait, hang on, we're still processing here, and you're jumping on the train too?
Yeah. They were fine with it.
I would never see your parents as people who wouldn't be accepting.
Yeah.
You know.
Like,
think of the people who don't have accepting parents.
yeah.
You know, who come out and say these things. How's their head?
Well, they wouldn't come out and say it.
Imagine living with that.
I've had a couple of mates, male and female, that haven't had the best of upbringings or haven't had the best homes to live in, and they've, I guess they've, is subdued the right word?
What are you trying to say?
Like they've locked it in themselves so deep that
they're like compartmentalized.
yeah.
Yeah.
That they're
So they're able to remove themselves from it, kind of lock it up inside.
Yeah, they'll lock it up inside, and they like it. Their friends know, but when they're at home, they can't be themselves because of what's going on at home. And I don't know what that feels like. I've not been through that because my family and my parents know, and
it was still hard for you though. You know, like the journey in itself.
Well, especially when you go through these, like my longest relationship was with a guy, 8.5 months when I was 19. He was 27, and I lost my train of thought.
No, that's okay.
Sorry.
These things happen. I've done it a few times and then I start verbal vomiting. But it is a very good conversation that we need to finish.
It's just, for myself, I've been accepted with everyone that I tell. For anyone else that's had a rough time with it, I get it, and society doesn't let you be who you want to be.
Think about the people who grow up in really religious countries.
Hmm.
You know, again, not a slant on religion as an institution and whatnot, but think of growing up in these countries that maybe are a lot less inclined to accept homosexuality because they're a lot more devoutly religious, and they have kind of almost like a dictatorship sort of thing with some of their religious icons within their country. And there are countries like that. And we come from a very secular nation, and we're very lucky in that sense. And we're probably a lot more accepting here in Australia than in a lot of other countries in the world. And I reckon a lot of these people would probably, and I know people who probably have, you know, they packed up and left their country and moved to another place because it was more accepting for them to actually live somewhere else, you know. And people who have parents who disown them, you know, for these kind of things. And it does happen. My kid, I couldn't disown them, regardless of what they did.
Yeah.
You know? I can't get in that mentality, you know, of being able to say, you're my blood, but I don't want you anymore.
yeah,
It's heavy, man. Like
it's very heavy.
it's not okay. This stuff needs to just, it needs to go away in the world. How that happens, you know, it's a lot of undoing to be done. But look, I think we have very much covered that sort of topic. There is one last thing I want to ask you about, but before I do, I want to know if there's anything else you'd like to add on what we've talked about first, because this is your moment to speak out and speak out.
No, not fit.
It's such a Damo. It's such a Damo. You ask him something and he goes,
I'm good.
I'm good. And then like 5 minutes later he'll just go, bang.
Yeah, no. I think I know what your next topic is, but let's go into it.
Guess.
Depression. Like the actual
Yeah.
downside.
So this is the last part. I don't want it to go on for too long because this can be pretty heavy. You have mentioned that you have tried to take your life. I personally too have tried to take my life. So we both have experienced that journey, sometimes more than once. I don't even know where to really start with this, but I just want to know how that shapes you personally.
So, alright, so I've tried to commit suicide 3 times.
Okay.
First, so I know I'm smiling right now, but
Sometimes it's a defense mechanism, you know?
no, it's so the first time, I know for viewers that think that suicide's not a funny subject, for me, my first time, looking back on it now, the first time was actually pretty funny because I didn't take into account a couple of factors. One, my body weight, and two,
And it's moving across because the sun's killing me.
and two, where to do it.
Yeah.
So the first time I tried to hang myself from the ceiling fan at home.
Oh god.
So
One in that room?
yeah. So my body weight outweighs the fan by probably 10
Did you rip
times
like
as
a
much.
massive hole in the ceiling?
Oh yeah. But luckily that day, Mum wasn't home, so I got one of my mates who was a tradie, an
Yeah.
apprentice tradie, to come around and put it back in and try and patch it up as best he could, and he did. And he stuck around for a couple of hours, chat to me about it, and he settled me down and consoled me and all that sort of stuff. The other 2 times were,
What? You try to hang yourself.
yeah.
Why? What happened?
Oh,
It was just like everything compiling on you.
countless years of bullying. That was the main pro.
But why hanging?
That's all I knew.
Yeah?
I'd seen it in like TV shows and all that sort of stuff, and I was like, oh, that seems pretty easy.
I don't think TV's really describe what it would be like to hang yourself
Yeah.
if your neck doesn't snap
Yeah,
straight away.
well,
you know?
yeah. I don't know, just had a rope at home as well, so
How does that make you feel now? Like looking back, I mean, you see that little
Sorry.
smile again. But like, how does that make you feel now? Looking back on that,
should have tried it another way.
should have tried another way.
Well, I was that depressed that
Yeah.
what's the point?
No, but
like,
now though, not when you were depressed. Like, I mean, I'm not saying you're not depressed anymore, but you know, you obviously know now that your life is more valuable.
yeah. I don't know. I don't really feel anything for it.
Okay, no, that's fine. I'm just curious, and if that's how you truly feel, then that's all you need to say.
Yeah.
You know. So sorry, yeah, go on.
So the other 2 times were try to cross the street, and then after that, someone told me you actually go down the street.
The
so
vertical.
you go down.
Yeah.
So I tried both ways. third time I didn't go deep enough and I bled out onto my bed.
Who found you? Did someone find you?
No. I woke up really, really cold and pale and all that sort of in sweats and stuff.
So how do you come back from that? Like you've done this, you've inflicted this on yourself, and you're bleeding out, in a sense. I mean, obviously you didn't cut deep enough to actually kill yourself, but you're waking up from this, and what do you do next? What do you do next? That's what I don't.
I got the mattress and threw it out into the backyard. Got rid of it.
Were you still?
No, bleeding had stopped.
Okay.
I tried to sew up
Yourself?
myself.
I mean, this is some pretty extreme shit.
Didn't
You know, like I
really-
want.
Didn't really work that well because I was doing it on myself, and two, I don't know how to sew skin, so.
I don't think many people know how to sew. So maybe if you're like a mortician or surgeon or something, but why did I go to mortician first?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Because we're talking about it.
Yeah, well, probably, yeah. That's pretty crazy. And
And then I went into the city.
do people? Oh, just like okay, have a drink now. Oh, really?
I went in the city, met up with a few mates.
Okay, so
it was
hang
a
on.
really hot summer day, so I was wearing a trench coat.
So they couldn't see, obviously. Yeah. Does your family know about this?
Yeah, they do.
That's what I was thinking.
So I've been writing in a journal for probably about 12, 13 years, and yeah, and Mum, when I was in a good space with my journal and good space to let people read it, I've let a couple of people read.
And your mum was one?
Yeah.
Now, your mother, from what I know, is a very gentle soul, a very kind person, a lot of caring and very spiritual. And now I can just picture that this would have been pretty confronting for her to find this out about her son, her baby boy.
Yeah.
Would you like to, just for the audience, like to share, because the power in that, like, we all have mothers, we all have bad thoughts, but like, we want to try and encourage people to be discouraged to do these kind of things because they do matter. They're very valid. Everybody's very valid. Everyone has a purpose, and that's the whole idea behind this. And this would have been very tough for your mum.
Would have been tough for everyone in the family.
Absolutely, absolutely. But you're saying that she was the one who read it.
Yeah, later on, like probably only a couple of years ago. I don't know. Me and Mum talk. We get each other. We're both very stubborn.
I've never experienced that with you.
If I want to tell people stuff, I will. But if I don't want to talk to people or tell people anything, I'm not going to. But yeah, I don't know. So yeah, Mum.
Look, it's okay. If you don't really know what to say, that's okay.
No,
I just think that
say.
I just personally want, I feel like there's a very powerful message in that, right? I feel like there's this, to every mother and everybody who's a mother out there, they know that when they have a child, that is they're giving part of themselves into this world, and their bond with that child is so deep because they grow that child. As a father, I have a very strong bond with my children, but I can understand my ex, her bond with those children is something that I can never imagine in that sense. And for me, finding out, if you're a mother, finding out that your child, your baby child, because you're the youngest, you're the baby boy, has done these kind of things, and the fact, one, that she wasn't aware of it, and then finding it out later, the kind of thing that could have put your mum's mindset into thinking about what she could have done better, how did she not see this? There's a lot of things that would have caused her anguish through this.
Yeah.
You know, and
I guess when she did read it, I think Dad read it as well. We did have a chat about it, but I reiterated that it wasn't anything from their upbringing towards me that led me to do it.
that would be very important for them.
It was all like, for anyone that's going through it, anyone can hide anything. Put on a smile and go, yeah, I'm all good. But as I said before, my upbringing was really good within the family. Youngest of 5 kids, so there was like a 3-year gap between me and youngest daughter.
Who is?
What?
Which daughter?
Laura.
Which sister? Laura?
Sister. Youngest sister.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we got along really well. I think we like sort of.
Is she like Mama Bear you? Like his big sister kind of thing? No?
That was Emma that sort of did that, because I could never really speak until I was, I don't know, about 2 or 3. So I'd point at things and go doo-doo, doo-doo, and Emma would translate for everyone else.
Oh, that's cute.
But yeah,
In this sorry.
no, go.
All I was going to say was, in this situation that we're talking about, this heavy stuff, is there any, like, this is your moment, and I'm like so grateful that you've actually been like a pioneer once again, because you're always a bit of a pioneer. You do put yourself out there, and for me as a person, you are the kind of person who can actually drive change in this world, because you're not afraid to say, okay, I'll put my hand up and I'm gonna give it a crack, you know, for everybody's benefit, not just for my own, for everybody's benefit. And that's something that I've always really admired and respect about you as a person. Now, there are obviously a lot of people, particularly your family, who've gone through this journey with you, and this being your story and you opening up. Is there anything that you want to say to them that you wish
Not really.
you could? No? No?
No. As I said before, actually, that was in the pre-talk before we started videoing.
Well, yeah, maybe.
So
A practice run. Yeah.
Yeah. So getting away from depression for a bit. I've often thought about, like, when my career or when my life will peak. And I think the last 3 or 4 years, my life's beginning to peak now. I was always a late bloomer, always gotten into things later than everyone else, and early on in life that sort of bothered me quite a bit, because I was like, well, when am I going to start to shine? And I think, along with the bullying and all that sort of stuff, my mind wasn't ready to, like, my mind had to be ready for my body to follow, if that makes sense.
No, it does. It makes perfect sense.
So going through everything that I've been through, my mind's at a stage now where I'm just like, you're good to go. You're loving what you've got at the moment. You're loving your work. You're loving your lawn bowls. You're loving all the friends you've got around you. I keep my close friends close, and they know who they are, because I let them know.
You do.
And it's just, yeah, I'm happy with where I am at the moment. But the depression side of things, that you either sink or swim.
So let me just put this to you to finish up, right?
Yeah.
Tell the audience, tell people what advice do you have? If there was some message that you could put out, that you want people to know to help them, like, do it now, man. Like, this is...
So for me, I probably always had friends there that were wanting to help and wanting to listen and do that. And that's beautiful, that's all well and good. But at the end of the day, the thing that saved me was music. I'd go to bed listening to Pantera or Cradle of Filth or stuff like that, because
was it the lyrics?
the lyrics got to me. I'm a very lyrical person. I listen to songs that I can connect with, and at that stage in life, going through depression, you have a lot of anger. And I'm not saying that heavy metal music's angry, but you'll find anger in any kind of music.
If you look for it, you'll find it.
But the tones of the music that I was listening to were resonating within myself. And there's one song that, even though I tried to commit suicide 3 times, there was one song by Pantera that that clicked when I was in an angry stage of depression. And the opening lyrics were, "F the world for all it's worth, every inch of planet Earth." And that stuck with me because I was like, this bloke, this band knows what I'm feeling, and I can feel what they're feeling. And so I just, music's been my saviour, I think.
So you want other people to know that
music, but it doesn't necessarily have to be music. It can be something other than music. It can be drawing, it can be planting a garden.
Yeah, it can be anything.
It can be anything. You just have to find something that resonates within you to help you feel better.
So you're encouraging, you want people to find that passion.
Yeah.
You got that passion, no matter what other people think, you stick to it.
Yeah.
And you give it your all to keep you going.
And I often think about, like, I don't miss people. I don't know what it is within me. I just don't. If I haven't seen someone for a while, I'm like, oh, I haven't seen him for a while. Oh well. I don't miss people. I miss music. If I'm not listening to music every day, I'll be like, what am I doing?
That's pretty powerful. You know, it has that kind of impact on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, thank you. I mean, that's really good. A really good bit of advice to share. I personally do find music as well is a very good healing process for me as well. Good lyrics. So yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. Right now, I'm sitting forward like this because the sun is killing my eyes. So I kind of need to put an end to it. But this was the end anyway. This is where we were at. So guys, I know this is a really long video. I do think it's definitely worth a watch. I think Damo's story is really powerful. I think we, as a pair, have discussed some pretty pressing issues that I would personally, and I think Damo as well, would love to raise awareness for. When you're talking about school bullying, you're talking about sexuality within the community and how people like that are treated. Depression in its essence and suicide. There's a lot of things here that are very heavy that we've been talking about, and I always want to encourage everybody that if you are feeling down or you are alone, that you are not alone. You need to understand that you are powerful. You are more than what you think you are to yourself, because we all matter. And that's the whole principle behind my I Matter idea, is that, you matter when you're looking at other people, we matter when you're in your community, and I matter when you're with yourself, because you're the person who's going to be able to really pull yourself through it. But the thing you got to keep telling yourself is that you deserve it and you're worth it, because you are. I don't even need to know you to be able to tell you that. So thank you very much for this video. Thank you so much, Damo.
Can I say one more thing?
Please.
If there's anyone out there that actually wants to get in contact with me and have a chat, I'm more than welcoming. I like chatting to people about this sort of stuff because it's my niche. I think I'm like quite helpful with it. Even if you just want to tell someone something, I'm all ears.
And I can personally vouch for that. I have been there with Damo, and Damo is very, very supportive and very helpful. He's just the kind of person that bears his heart and wears it on his sleeve and will do anything for anyone, give the shirt off his back. And that's not even like exaggerating anything at all. That's just who he is. So thank you again.
Thanks, Tim.
And let's do this again and keep pushing mental health awareness forward.